Om. गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. We are in Amrut Anubhav, chapter 5, verse number 29. And we are looking at that which is pure consciousness by nature, denying all inertness. How can it be referred to as consciousness? This is what we have to start today, I think. We finished till 28th. Yeah. आणि अचिदाचे निनाशे आले जे मात्रदशे आता चिन्मात्रची मा कैसे चिन्मात्री इये. That which is pure consciousness by nature, denying all inertness, how can it be referred to as consciousness? When there is nothing opposing it, there is nothing separate from it, when there is nothing other than it, only a man is called a husband only with reference to the wife. But if wife is not there, will he be called a husband? Do people go around saying I am ex-husband of so and so? No. Who are you? I am so. You don't introduce yourself, I am ex-husband of so and so. Because the moment the otherness, the reference went away, that very moment, that imagined identity of yours, that also goes away. So what is the imagined identity within us? The individuality is the imagined identity. The ego is the imagined identity. And that is with reference to this body. That is with reference, when I say body, the Panchakoshas. But when we are contemplating on the consciousness, how long we are contemplating on the consciousness, still the reference is still having an impact on our mind. Till then we are thinking of the consciousness. But when all of them, all the other data gets neutralized, then why you have to speak of consciousness? Then you don't have to say consciousness as consciousness versus inertness. See, that which is pure consciousness by nature, in consciousness, if you are the conscious person, in consciousness there is no inertness possible. Just like in the sun, no darkness is possible. It's just not possible. And what are you considering yourself to be? We are considering ourselves to be a conscious person plus inert person, which is the body. It's not that body is conscious. No, consciousness is expressing through the body. Now the question is, which one are you considering yourself to be? What have you taken yourself to be? Inertness plus consciousness? And when we start seeing where the error is, and we work towards the conscious principle, and here all this entire chapter is, it's only question of understanding, that's all. Initially understanding. What is that? That consciousness is that where there is no inertness possible. It must click from inside. It's not just intellectual appreciation, intellectual understanding. It must be a direct experience also. In the knowledge, there are two aspects, the knower and the known. See, in 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Kshetra Kshetrajna. Kshetra is the field / known, and Kshetrajna is the knower of the field / the consciousness. So in the knowledge, which knowledge? This is the relative knowledge. Where there is two, the knower and the known, that cannot be the absolute one. That has to be the relative. In the knowledge, there are two aspects, the knower and the known, the hearer and the heard, the speaker and the spoken. The known is Achit. So if I am the speaker, I am speaking to all unconscious people. Achit. And if you, from your standard point of view, you are only listening to Achit. Because what are you listening to? Are you listening to Swami Paramananda? Or are you listening to the words which are appearing as thoughts in your mind? Think. Are you listening to the person or are you listening to the thoughts? See? And thoughts are inert because they come and go. See, this, once you catch this, मजा आ जाएगा. हर जगह पे मस्ती मस्ती है फिर उसके बाद. You're not, you are sincere, but you don't get stuck anywhere after that. This is known as, the known is Achit, insentient. Insentient, where there is no consciousness expressing. Consciousness is dormant. In this bottle, existence, it is also made up of existence, consciousness, bliss. But what is here? Existence is predominant, consciousness and bliss are dormant. In deep sleep, bliss is predominant. In the waking, it's your choice whether you make bliss to be predominant or activity to be predominant, or consciousness, inertness to be predominant, or consciousness to be predominant. Choice is ours. So by nature, inertness, specificity, another word for it, insentient. That which is insentient means that which is where consciousness is not expressing. It's dormant. No, but I don't feel that this body is inert, but consciousness is expressing. So this is the discrimination that we have to bring about. Inertness by nature is insentient. Why? Because it is changing. The knower is Chit, the knower is consciousness. That is life. Knower is the life. So is body the knower? Does the finger know that it is touching the book? No. Does the finger know there is pain? No. Then who is the knower? The knower has to be someone else other than the known. Kshetra Kshetrajna Vibhaga Yogo Nama, 13th chapter. So that which is inert is Achit, that which is, and that is the known, and that which is the knower is consciousness. Now you find out. I say this example many times. This is a laptop. I know this is a laptop. I am not the laptop. This is a book. I know this is a book. I am not the book. This is a house. I know this is a house. I am not the house. This is the process of information going at a very great speed, unknown to us. Only when we slow down we become aware of this. But this is how we are defining the whole world and establishing our position. That everything in this world is, I know whatever is coming, that is being perceived through the five senses and the mind, and whatever is being perceived by the five senses and the mind, I am not. Isn't it? But when it comes to this body, this is a body, yes, my senses and mind are accessing that information. I know this is a body, mind has come to know it. Then the same rule which you applied to the whole world should apply here also. That I am not the body, but you say I am the body. You know that you have five senses. I know there are five senses. I am not the five senses. This should be our conclusion. But we are living contrarily. We know the thoughts, but we think we are the thoughts. And if we can't remember something, we feel we are having dementia. This has to be, understand the principle. And this corrupted way of defining yourself with specificity has to be stopped. And we don't stop here. This body is just an example. We fall further. We take the inert relations and become a relative. They are also objects, inert. Then why do I feel the love towards them? Because the consciousness in you and the consciousness in them feels the oneness. That's why. But there are no two consciousnesses. Consciousness is one alone. Just like there are no two lights. The bulbs may be different, but the principle of light is same. The electricity flowing through the two bulbs is the same. Similarly, the Paramatma who is expressing through all of us, who's speaking and who's listening, is the same. But because we have identified with the inert and established that I am this, then the error begins. So first step, know that consciousness and matter are separate. There is the field and there is knower of the field. So now find out what is the field. What is the field? Everything that is changing is the field. What is the nature of the field? It is inert, it is insentient, it is devoid of bliss, it's only existing, it is always changing, it is never permanent, it is limited, conditioned by time, space, objectivity. It is existing in its own absence. It's mithya. It's appearing in its own absence. And what is consciousness? That which is always, that which has never come and gone, that which has never become anything, which is of the nature of existence, consciousness, bliss. This is the first step. Until unless we are not convinced of who we are, not as an individual, there is discrimination, vivek. Vivek is between nitya and anitya, between chit and achit, between anand and dukkham. So first we have to determine which one we are at this very moment. The known is achit, insentient. The knower is chit, consciousness. In this specific knowledge, these two aspects are distinct. In specific knowledge. What is specific knowledge? Waking state is the specific knowledge. What is the status of this specific knowledge? The knower and known are separate. The consciousness and matter are separate. So I am the knower even at individual level. I am the knower and this bottle is the known. I am the knower and this laptop is the known. I am the knower, this book is the known. Where the thought of the object and the object of the thought are separate from each other, that is called the waking state. The knower and known have not become one. The object, both are thoughts only. The knower is also, I is also a thought. I am the knower. The bottle is also a thought. It is the known. But what is the status? It is separate from me. This is the conclusion. And therefore, I am not the bottle. Can you come to this conclusion with regards to your body? Can you come to this conclusion with reference to your senses, thoughts, emotions? It will be better if you come to this conclusion. You will be completely integrated. Then you will not go through the roller coaster ride of the emotions. You will feel the emotions, but you will not succumb to them. You will not be carried away by them. In this specific knowledge, these two aspects are distinct. The consciousness and matter is different. The knower and known are separate. But in the Chinmatra, the pure consciousness which is supporting both the knower and the known, there is no such distinction. Now the electricity example doesn't work here. Then what is the example? The wave and the ocean. The water alone. So where is water, ocean and the wave existing? In the waters. From water's point of view, both of them do not exist. From absolute point of view, there is no existence of wave and ocean. Why? Both are existing in their own absence. Only water is. Then why are you calling it ocean and wave? Because of the conditionings. Because of the conditionings. Because you see a conditioning of a wave, that it begins somewhere and it ends somewhere. You see the ocean. This is the land which is surrounding it. So it is called the Indian Ocean. This is the land which is surrounding it. It is called between these two lands, it is called the Atlantic Ocean. Total conditioning and individual conditioning. And where are these conditioning? Only imaginations. So any ocean you touch, it is nothing but water. Any wave you touch anywhere on this, anywhere in the ocean, in any ocean, it is still the water. So from water's point of view, there is no distinctions of sat and of knower and known. From sun's point of view, there is no difference of heat and light, but it expresses as heat and light. That is his potentiality. But from the absolute point, from sun's point, you ask him, thank you for the heat and light. He says, I don't know what is heat and light. What are you talking about? Because he can't see it as separate. Are you able to see your body as separate to yourself? Yes, I am the knower and known is the body. I am the knower, I know I have got five senses. I am the knower, I know my thoughts and emotions. I am the knower, I know the convictions. I am the knower and I know the waking experience, dream experience and deep sleep experience. See? These differences of knower and known, I'm not talking about waker and waking world, that is also another one, but I have taken you straight to the total. The knower who knows all these examples which I just gave you, that is the known. In the absolute self that I am, the pure consciousness that I am, these differences are null and void. The witness and the witnessed, the observer and the observed, the knower and the known is only possible in the relative realm. The duality, kshetra, kshetrajna, only happens in duality, not from absolute standpoint, and that's what is told earlier. But in the Chinmatra, the pure consciousness which is supporting both the knower and the known, there is no such difference. So the waters support the expression of that which is not, which is the ocean and the wave. But from the water's point of view, there is no ocean and the wave. The gold supports all the ornaments by being the material cause. But from gold's point of view, there is no ornament because it is everywhere. Exactly the same way, from pure consciousness point of view, the Paramatma supports Ishvara and Maya and the resultant, that's the first duality, Ishvara and Maya, and then the resultant Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh and the Virat Purush and everything else. But from Paramatma's point of view, the Parabrahma Paramatma point of view, there is no Ishvara and Prakriti. He is all that there is. Then for whom is Ishvara Prakriti? It is for the seeker. It is for the individual. And who are you in essence? You are the pure conscious, the Parabrahma Paramatma. That is realization. And where are we stuck? In realizing what is for breakfast after the class. So, in the pure consciousness, there is no such bhed, this differentiation. This achit, inertness, is also destroyed. This achit is destroyed where when you approach pure consciousness, inertness dies away. Waking, which is differences of the knower and known, right? All the known dies away. Where? When we go to sleep. Just like that. When you are focusing on the sleep, all the known dies away. Replace sleep with pure consciousness. And once you be the pure consciousness, there is no status for the inertness or the sentiency. The knower and known, both of them as thoughts, as an object of knowledge, vanish. Then only that which is the one remains, and then that cannot be called even as the knower, because there is nothing called known. Then will it be called a knower? If there is nothing, no inertness, then will it be called consciousness? No. Words are also null and void. Words are employed only where there is duality. Only where there is duality. From absolute standpoint, there are no words required. Because from absolute standpoint, there is only one without a second experience. Not even experience, disposition. There is no otherness there. This achit inertness is also destroyed. Knowledge takes place in the mind, but the mind is also an object of knowledge and inert. Now this is the second stage. First was, I am the knower of the objects, inertness, the world, the specificity. The next stage is in the mind. I am the knower of the thoughts also. What is there? I am the knower. Knower is also a thought. I is also a thought. And the known is also a thought. That is called the dream state, where the thought of the object and the object of the thought, or the knower of the thought, of the object, both are in the mind alone. See? So that is the second part which is taken. Knowledge takes place in the mind. The knower is in the mind, and now the known is also in the mind. Where the knower and known both are in the mind, that is called a dream. That is called an imagination. But the mind is also an object of knowledge. And do I not know that I am having these thoughts? So if I am knowing something that is thoughts, by way of thoughts, yeah, I know what I just said. What did you say just now, sir? I know what I said. That's what I said. It means this sentence, I know what I said, is inert. And I know that these thoughts, including I, plus know, plus what, plus I, plus said. I know what I said. All these are thoughts. And what are you saying, sir? I am talking on Amrit Anubhav. Amrit Anubhav is the object. So either the Amrit Anubhav is the object called the book outside, the words in the book outside, or the contemplation on Amrit Anubhav is the thought inside, and the knower of the contemplation is the knower inside, in the mind. This also is known, isn't it? So thoughts, they are not permanent. Just as this book is not permanent, after 1.5 hours this book will be closed and put into the shelf. The next book, the next event, the next activity. Similarly, the thought appears, then it goes away, then next thought appears, then it goes away, then next thought appears, next goes away. That is the nature of the mind. That is what is called mind. Flow of thoughts. And what are the two type of thoughts? They are the knower thought and the known thought. Knower thought expresses as I, and the known thought expresses as whatever. There are infinite number of them. This is at the mind level. But the mind is also the object of knowledge and inert. But don't you know? So one is when you are in the mind as the mind, you know that you are the knower and the other thoughts are the known. But take one step further back, withdraw further, go deeper, subtler. Don't you know that the I thought as well as the whatever the I knows, don't you know that all these thoughts, whether it is the subject and the object, they are also known by you, isn't it? So even the knower and known are knower as well as the known, appearing as thoughts in the mind, is known by you. You don't say that I only know the waking world. No, I know. Yesterday I was the waker and experiencing the waking world. Yesterday I was the dreamer and experiencing the dream world. So you know the knower and the known. So at this very moment, you know the knower and the known of whatever is taking place. Unintelligently, we fall down to the level of the mind and become obsessed with it and become the knower. We have to recognize that both are thoughts alone. When that takes place, therefore, it is so. When the knower is expressing as I in the mind, the I thought in the mind, it is also known, so it is inert. The I thought is also inert. See? So which one are we considering ourselves? The thinking I am, or the one who knows? The I thought came in the mind and went away. Then again it came and again it went away. Again it came, again, and it's doing this continuously. For that, some peace, tranquility, some time you have to take out for yourself where you can contemplate in this manner. If I know the I thought and thought is inert, then who am I? What is my true nature? Therefore, it is the consciousness which is illuminating the knowledge in the mind in one place as aham vritti and in another place as idam vritti, subject and object I just told you. So you are the witnessing consciousness in whose light the aham vritti and idam vritti, the knower and the known thoughts, the I thought subject and that thought the object, the idam vritti, both are getting illumined, isn't it? At this very moment. You don't have to go into past or future. Right now, this inquiry is right now. So which one are you? Are you the I with reference to some specific object or thought? Or are you the I who is other than, in whose light the aham and idam is getting illumined? It is that I thought which becomes emotional. It is that I thought which becomes who is intellectual. It is that I thought who is moody. It is that I thought who is growing. Is that I thought who is miserable. It is that I thought who is celebrating his birthdays. Who is that I thought who is forgetting everything. Consciousness, the total I, the infinite I, the pure consciousness, which is the I without thought, does not have all these problems. The psychiatrist and psychologist, they don't know this. This is the solution of coming to your true identity. And the moment you come to your true identity, all the imagined problems dissolve in toto. But how can you say I thought is the emotional one and I thought is the intellectual one and I thought? No. With every specific object, with every idam, there is a aham being born, because they coexist, aham and idam. Just as you cannot have Ishvara by himself, you need Maya. You cannot have a husband by himself. He need, if only with reference to wife you can be called as there is a husband. Similarly, only with reference to idam there is aham. Only with reference to aham, idam, there is aham. Aham cannot exist by itself as thought. As thought, it cannot exist by itself. And what happens? What is this ego then? That this I, aham, with every idam is coming and going, coming and going. It's going so fast that an imagined continuity is seen with respect to this I thought. And that is called the ego. But if you slow it down, how do you slow it down? Vaikhari madhyama pashyanti para. Take a mantra, gross chanting, subtle chanting, transcendental chanting. It will slow down. Don't your thoughts slow down when you go to sleep? They do. So consciously slow it down and you will recognize, अरे बेवकूफ बना हुआ था इतने सालों से. Therefore, it is the consciousness which is illuminating. So here it is a subjective approach. We are coming to, instead of imagining ourselves to be the Gaunatma, instead of imagining ourselves to be the Mithyatma, we are coming slowly, we are coming back to be the original one, the Mukhyatma. And from being the Mukhyatma, the penultimate step before being the Mukhyatma is the Sakshi Atma, if you want to use the word. So who is this Sakshi? This Sakshi is that I am other than the knower and the known. This is only for our benefit that these different stages are created. There is nothing like this. In one moment, or by one moment, every moment you are you only. Only imagining not to be you. And that imagining not to be is only with reference to something. Every moment man is a man. But every moment the child comes, imagines he is a father. Wife comes, imagines he is a husband. Mother comes, imagines he is a son. And keeps shunting through this imaginary roles with reference to the people. Similarly, now understand the principle. The I plays the role, the I thought takes the role with reference to the object. If the object is eyes, the I becomes the seer. If the object is the ears, the I becomes the hearer. If I is the what you call object is the smell or the nose, then I becomes the smeller. If object is not understanding, I becomes the ignorant one. If object is understood that it is so and so, such and such, so and so, then he becomes the I have understood. He becomes the knower. But this I is continuously with reference to the idam, the object, whether outside or inside, outside and in the mind. Again, this division of outside and inside, again he has created because of his obsession. The truth is, the entire outside is in the mind only. Every object in the outside world is only known by way of thoughts only. So the world is in the mind. It's not outside. Just like a wave imagines, I have to meditate within myself to know the ocean. Foolish approach. It is the ocean. It doesn't know it, that's all. Incomplete knowledge. No, I have to withdraw from the world and then come into myself and then dive deep and then raise my kundalini to recognize that I am the infinite waters. What a stupid conclusion. All this is because, why this journey is there? Because I am the specific one. And I have to reach the unspecificity. Only understanding is required. As a seeker, only understanding is required. Parikshit only understood the words of Shukdevji Maharaj. Arjuna only understood the words of Sri Krishna, and transformation took place. In Arjuna, the clarity of what his position is at any given moment, that became clear. In Parikshit, who he is in essence, that became clear. And he realized. He realized before the impending death. With the last, just before the snake Takshaka came to bite Parikshit, he realized. And that is our natural state. But we are doing disservice to ourselves, considering that we are the individual, that we are the father, mother, daughter, sister. Let those roles be played, but our attention must be on our disposition should be that of the undivided one. The moment you take that position of undivided, then there is no question of my child and my son and my daughter and my wife and my husband. Then it is unconditional love towards all that there is. Why? Because all that there is I alone. What would be the disposition of Ishvara? The whole creation is the expansion of the Maya, the Prakriti. So does he think about the world, or he has got only one thing? Hey, Maya is my potentiality. She is inseparable from me. Unconditional love towards his consort. Unconditional love. But because of that because inseparable. So whether she is expressing or not expressing, the love is continuously the same. And he doesn't, as a form, he may see it as separate. But when she is unmanifest, When when Maya is unmanifest, then will Ishvara be called Ishvara? Then he is Paramatma. Then he is the Parabrahma Paramatma. Only when when Parabrahma Paramatma becomes aware of his potentiality, then he is called as Ishvara. See? When we become aware of our mind, then we are called the individual. But are we seeing first stage? See it as separate. Come back to the conscious principle. Don't get. Ishvara is not under the clutches of Maya. We are under the clutches of our mind. Mind is aham and idam, knower and known, kshetra, kshetrajna. At that level. Just like senses are the knower and the world is the known. The known cannot influence the knower. Because eyes, they don't care what comes in front of it. It will see and then it will change. What next? Continuously the forms are changing, colors are changing. Eyes are not affected by the change. Are they? Eyes are the knower. Are the ears are the knower? Are they affected by what they are hearing? No. Their job is only to illuminate the words that are coming. So also every sense. So none of the five senses are affected by their stimuli. Catch this. Go one step back. Mind is not affected by the five senses. Now, known is the five senses, knower is the mind. Sometimes form thought comes, sometimes the heard thought comes, sometimes the smell thought comes, sometimes the touch thought comes. Is mind saying, no, I only like to see, oh, no, I like the hearing more and no, whatever comes, he is equally available to all. Because just as senses themselves are coexisting with their stimuli, mind is coexisting with the senses. Mind alone has become the five senses. So it doesn't see them as separate. Mind does not see it as a problem. Therefore, it doesn't say, I don't want to see, I don't want to hear, I don't want to talk. No, mind is unaffected by the stimuli. Mind is unaffected by the five senses. It has the same status. They are inseparable from me. Think. Go one step back. Mind is the known. Mind is the known. And I am the knower. Mind goes through waking, dream, deep sleep every day. Mind takes the forms of aham and idam every moment. These thoughts are coming. Am I getting disturbed by the thoughts? No. Because that is the nature of the mind. Continuously the thoughts are coming. Continuously the mind is. Sometimes it is. Am I disturbed by waking, dream, deep sleep? No. Just as mind was not, the senses were not disturbed by their stimuli. Samatvam yoga uchyate. All the senses are samatvam yoga. Stimuli are coming, they illuminate it without any identification. Mind is samatvam, it accepts the five senses as inseparable. It doesn't get disturbed by the five senses. Samatvam yoga. You accept your mind. If you can take that position, That waking, dream, deep sleep are coming. So many thoughts are coming every day. When you take it as a principle, Samatvam Yoga, you are not disturbed by the mind. Then who is disturbed by the mind? Then who is disturbed by the mind? It's the pseudo, is the ghost, and that ghost is the ego. That ghost is the imagined continuity of I thought. So all problems of mine are only imagined. Absolutely, you hit the jackpot. All problems, all successes, all failures, birth, death, past, future, everything is imagined. Really? Yeah. Come to be. How do I stop the motion? You can stop it or you don't stop it. You recognize that this is the nature of the mind, let it go on. So just as one Paramatma alone became Ishwar and Prakriti alone became the total and the individual, this is Ishwara Srishti. After that, in Ishwar Srishti there is no problems. But after the expression of consciousness through the body, I am the body, this body alone. Now Jiva Srishti begins, means the individual creation begins. And this creation is the problem of the individual. Because as long as consciousness was expressing through the body, we see that in Mahatmas also. We see in Mahatmas who began I am the body, they reach the stage I am the pure consciousness, and still those who are the onlookers, they see consciousness expressing through the body, which is Ishwar Srishti. But that Mahatma is not succumbing to the body meaning body, breath, mind, intellect. He is not succumbing to the body. And what is in our case? We are succumbing to the body. We are enslaved by the body. We are continuously thinking about the body. And what is our natural state? Natural state is the Ishwar Srishti. It's a natural phenomena of consciousness expressing through this matter. In relative, when we talk about individual and total, from the relative, total relative, from Ishwara's point of view, it is a natural phenomena. Consciousness expressing through matter. What is that consciousness? Ishwara alone is the conscious. He is not affected by it. When he is not affected by it, he is called Virat Purusha. Who is Virat Purusha? Where past, present and future are happening at the same time. That is Virat Purusha. What is Virat Purusha? Study Purusha Suktam. That is Virat Purusha. And who are you imagining to be? Are you taking being the Virat Purusha? That is your true position. Relative level I am saying. Huh? So, Virat Purusha is the total consciousness expressing through the total body, but not identified with the body. Just as senses are not identified with all that they illumine, mind is not affected by the senses, consciousness is also not affected by the mind. And this is your daily, every moment, that is your natural disposition. Then who is disturbed? That in the mind the I thought with respect to that thought, the aham and the idam. With every idam, aham is created. That aham vritti is moving so fast that it creates its own identity that I am a continuous one, even though it is not a continuous. This imagined continuity is the problem. Why is it imagining the continuity? Because by nature you are a continuous principle. Atma or the pure consciousness is a continuous principle. It is unstopped. There are no breaks in it. Homogeneous continuity. That, because we have forgotten that we are that, we superimpose it on the I thought. Somewhere that feeling has to go. I am considering I am, but what I am? I am this body. Body is continuously changing, and with the continuously changing body, the I thought is also changing. Every day the waker changes, every day the dreamer changes, every day the sleeper changes. Sleeper doesn't change, it remains the same. Though yesterday's husband and today's husband are two different fellows. Yesterday's wife and today's wife is two different fellows, two different eyes. But no, I am the same one. For 7 janmas we will be together. Lage raho. So this is imagined that I am the same one. Because it is not possible only. I thought is appearing, I thought is disappearing. And you call yourself I. And why do you consider yourself to be I with reference to some object, with reference to idam? Because you are not recognizing your true nature. You are not available to yourself as you are. You have forgotten who you are. So now the only option is to be available to what is available. What is available? Aham vritti is available. So we take that to be our identity and we live with that. And the result is the ego. And it is this non-existing entity called the ego which is the miserable one. So do some, bless yourself, grace yourself by coming to be the original and not the one who is coming and going. समझ आ रहा है ना मैं क्या बोल रहा हूँ? Or is it too, are you getting confused? Hello?
Interesting, Swami. You little bit confused.
Mind is confused. You are not. The reason I asked this question is, if you are trying to work it out in the mind, you will never come to this conclusion. And therefore confusion. Because you are beyond the mind. You are the one who is appearing, who is supporting the mind. What is mind? A play between aham vritti and idam vritti. The I thought and the that thought. Mind is the play between subject and object. That is called Leela. Subject and object total level, Krishna, Radha, Ram, Sita, Ishwar, Shakti. It's the play. They are inseparable. I thought subject cannot be a subject without object, object cannot be an object without subject. As a thought, as a relative. But we have to recognize where we are in this topic. We have to recognize that we are the knowers of the subject thought, I thought, and the object, that thought. When? Right now. If you are saying, yes, I understood, so I was also used, subject was there, some topic understood, object was there. You are, do you know that you said you understood? Yes, I just said it. The one who said is other than the subject and object. The one who says, I know the waker, dreamer, and sleeper come and go every day, he is not the waker, dreamer, sleeper. He is other than the waker, dreamer, sleeper. So at that moment, the moment you say, I know that waking, dream, sleep come and go every day, you have taken the place of Krishna. Krishna knows he is the infinite one, yet expressing through the body, but not getting attached by the not identified with the body. So when we say that I know that, for that one moment, when the question is asked, do you know that you have been, you know that you have, do you know that waking, dream, and deep sleep come and go every day? The moment you say yes, for that one yes moment, there is no difference between you and Krishna. Because infinite does not answer. If infinite has to answer, he has to come into the relative and then only answer. Krishna as Parabrahma Paramatma cannot say Paritranaya Sadhunam Vinashaya Cha Dushkritam. He has to take form to bring about Paritranaya. So he took the form. Or same way, you take the form. What is the form? Aham vritti idam vritti. He doesn't say I am going to take it, it happens. That is the nature of the Prakriti. There are events linked. Why Krishna was born, why Rama was born, what promises were given, what desires were there, or what boons were given, what curses were there. All that is when it began. It's endless. Don't worry about it. But it's a natural. In the phenomena, it is going on. So when you said yes, as Parabrahma Paramatma, pure consciousness, you cannot say yes. For that moment, when that question was the trigger, and in that contemplating on that trigger, suddenly you took one step out of the three states, you answered and again came back to the waking state. For that one moment, you forgot you were the waker, you were the dreamer, you were the sleeper. Yeah, I know. Waker cannot say I know because he doesn't know the other two. Waker doesn't know the dream state and the waking state. He has got no entry into those two. But there is someone who knows the three. Just as in this example, in this verse, what we are talking, you know that aham vritti and idam vritti, the subject thought, I thought, and the object thought, they both come and go. You know, it is your daily, every moment experience. Remaining in this awareness is called witnessing. Continue. This is the alertness that we have to employ. How long you have to continue? As long as it is required. Because here we are not here to see the drama. Here we are to see what is our true nature. So first recognize that you are not these two, you are watching these two, you are the observer, you are the witness of these two. Don't get pulled in, don't get hooked onto the aham or idam. Meaning, don't get hooked onto the ego, nor get hooked onto the specificity, idam. Somewhere by grace, if you maintain this, this is called samatvam yoga uchyate, equanimity. You are the witnessing consciousness. Somewhere, a point by grace. Who is this me who is witnessing this? Somewhere it will happen. It's not that the witness is asking question to itself. Witness is the observer of thoughts. And the thoughts are of two types, aham and idam. And when the impact of the thoughts reduces, another way of putting it, when the impact of the thought reduces, because the nature of the mind is to express thoughts and not to express thought, presence of thoughts and absence of thoughts. When does the presence of thought becomes more? When we are extroverted, when we are identified, then they become more. When you are a witness, the momentum in the mind of thoughts will start reducing. And when the subject object, as it keeps reducing and reducing and reducing, a moment will come where there will be silence. Where the object, instead of the world, the aham is thinking, who am I? Aham is thinking, what am I? Aham is thinking, where am I? Aham is thinking, aham brahmasmi. And you are witnessing. Just like you have witnessed as child, you had different thoughts. As teenage, you had different thoughts. At youth, you had different thoughts. Yesterday, you had different types of thoughts. In the morning, you had different thoughts. Now you are having different thoughts. So it's your observation. But you are recognizing that you were the witness of all the thoughts from childhood till now when I say it so. We have to be self-aware. We have to be the witness, not because someone prompts us. Self by ourselves, we have to remain. And that is the alertness, that is the vigilance, that is the equanimity with which, that is the coolness with which we have to live day in and day out. And one day, the whole well, there's nothing to know. I was going to say everything will come to know. There's nothing to know because you alone are that there is. Then there will be knowledge without thoughts. When aham and idam have also dissolved, then the I without thought remains. And we have seen that whole process. I'm not going into that whole process. If it comes as we go ahead, we will see. Therefore, it is the consciousness which is illuminating the knowledge in the mind. Knowledge in the mind is because of knower and known, aham and idam, and you are illuminating it. Illuminating in one place, and aham vritti and idam vritti. Every thought has an independent existence. I have already said. One set of equation is aham plus idam plus the instrument of knowledge. I am the seer, You are the seen and the seeing is taking place. Over. Then I am the hear, you are the heard, and the hearing is taking place. Over. Next. I am smelling. Knowledge over. Next. Again. And this is how every triputi comes and goes. Every triad. Subject, object, and the instrument of knowledge makes one thought. Thought is not independent. It has got three aspects. Just like the waking experience is not just one waking experience. No, it is what is constituting the waking experience: the waker, the waking world, and the waking instruments, the waking mind and the waking senses. Then comes the dream. Dream is not one. It is made up of three: the dreamer, the dream world, and the dream instruments of knowledge. Similarly, every knowledge that we are having at this moment, every thought that is coming to you, or every word that is coming to you and appearing as thought in your mind, it is knowledge. It is just not knowledge. It is made up of three: the knower, known, and the knowing. The listener, listened to, and the listening. And every thought is independent, every knowledge is independent. Thought is knowledge, relatively speaking. Every thought has an independent existence. The mind in its womb takes the shape of an object, and this is called vritti or thought. In the mind in its womb takes the shape of an object. How does the shape of an object come into the mind? Swamiji explains, just like some thorn goes into your skin, it's absolutely fine. The thorn goes in. The moment it goes in, there is pus created. There is pain at that point. There is discomfort, isn't it? And it can lead to worse things if it is not treated. You go to the doctor, he takes the pincers, takes out the thorn or a splinter which has gone in, and within few hours it comes back to normal. The swelling goes away, the pus dries up, the pain goes away. If this is understood, which is happening at the physical level, same way. When an object is accepted by the mind, and it is owned, that is important. If it is identified with, the moment it comes into the mind, what is mind? Nothing but consciousness. But the moment it comes into the mind, there is a disturbance. You throw a stone in the lake, calm lake, you throw one stone, immediately the ripples are created, isn't it? The moment objectivity is allowed, here it says, the mind in its own takes the shape of the object. So your skin only took the shape of the swelling. Was swelling separate to your skin? No. Same way, consciousness taking the shape of the object is called the mind. Another way of looking at it, putting it. Consciousness is calm. Water taking the shape of the movement is called the wave. So same way, when in this consciousness otherness is introduced, that is the error. And what is the otherness? Of specificity. What is the otherness? Of an object. How does the object enter your mind? Or if the mind, by attention only. A child does not know that he is or she is the body. Only we brainwash them as they grow up that you are this body. Or they learn from us idiots who are continuously going on. I am the body, this is mine, don't touch my glasses, don't touch my pen, don't touch my papers. So the child learns what is this my. The child also starts repeating it. Mummy, what is this my? Like this. This is my body, that is your body. Story, khalas. So when the mind accepts an object, when does the mind accept an object? When it is not a witness. Consciousness alone became aham and idam, isn't it? So either the consciousness owns the object, if it owns the object, accepts the object as object, it can only do by the consciousness taking the position of the subject, aham. But if it remains the witness, the object comes, creates a slight ripple, goes away. No disturbance of the mind. Just wherever you are sitting right now, so many things are in your room, so many things are there in front of you. Nothing is creating a ripple in your mind. I asked the question, is it clear or confused? You gave value to clarity and confusion. You chose confusion. You chose. Because your attention was on what? Why you chose confusion? Because your attention was not on the subject. Your attention was not on the witnessing consciousness. Your attention was not on the pure consciousness. Your attention was on understanding and not understanding. And understanding is only at the thought level. And we are talking about that which cannot be thought. Aprapya manasa saha. So it's a very, very fine dissection that we are doing here. If you catch it, good. If not, someday it will click. So whenever otherness is accepted as valid, whenever specificity is accepted as real, valid, by the consciousness, that very moment the Triputi is formed. That very moment the abscess, the skin, the mind gets swollen. The consciousness gets swollen as if. What is swollen? Water swollen is called a wave. Water swollen is called a wave. Consciousness swollen is called a thought. And thought is formed because of subject, object and instrument of knowledge, isn't it? So which consciousness are you? Are you the witnessing consciousness, pure consciousness, or are you the I thought consciousness? You are considering yourself to be the thinking person, or you are considering yourself to be the eternal observer of everything going on? This dissection is required, and both are happening at the same time. Mundaka Upanishad talks about it as do Suparna Sayuja Sukhaya. In the Puranjan story, the Avigyat and the Puranjan, these are the two friends, the two brothers who are going on the in Bhagavatam. One is satisfied with himself, the other one is looking down, what is going, what is coming, and he falls down, falls in love with the girl. In Mundaka Upanishad, the two birds sitting on the same tree, one bird is content, The other bird is looking around, collecting knowledge. Which one are you? Are you the I thought or are you the eternal witness? This you have to decide. And that will determine your sanity. See? The mind in its womb takes the shape of an object, and this is called vritti or thought. This swelling of the consciousness is called the vritti. Now what has happened? Consciousness that I am have accepted the otherness. And the moment I accept the otherness, immediately there is a ripple created in the consciousness because of that identification, and that ripple is called the thought. And that the genesis of that thought is the subject, object, and the instrument. Aham vritti, idam vritti, and the instrument of knowledge. This vritti is further illumined by the inherent potentiality called as consciousness or jnana shakti. This vritti is further illumined by the inherent potentiality called as consciousness or jnana shakti. What is this jnana shakti? This is the eternal witness. So either you are the eternal witness or you are the vritti. This limited consciousness with reference to a particular vritti is called chidabhas. See, this is a bottle. If you can see the light on this bottle, suppose it was absolutely dark, and this bottle comes in, I can't see the bottle. But the moment light falls over it, the shape of the bottle becomes available, isn't it? Exactly the same way. Exactly the same way. The objects, what is mind? Mind is nothing but consciousness. In that, the object is received. When that object is received, here when he says that the vritti is, the moment object comes, the vritti, the thought of the object is created. Then the vritti is further illumined by the inherent potentiality called the consciousness or jnana shakti. Who is knowing the object? Now we are breaking the triputi here. Who is knowing the object? I is breaking the object, knowing the object. I know the bottle. I know the thought. The subject knows the object. Can the object by itself come to know itself? No. So for the object to enter and remain there even for a split of a second, it has to be accepted. If there is no owner, if there is no illuminator, if there is no relation is created with the object cannot remain in the mind. If there is no relationship created by your mind, by the eye, in all the things in the room, the thought of that object doesn't come in your mind, isn't it? But you know they are there. You don't keep thinking of your children. Only when they come in front of you, immediately the mother comes out. Exactly the same way, when the object comes in the mind, into the womb of the enters the womb of the mind, or the shape of it takes place in the womb of the mind, or the mind takes the shape of the object, then that shape, that object is illumined. Here he says, the vritti is further illumined by the inherent potentiality called as consciousness or jnana shakti. This limited consciousness with reference to a particular vritti is called Chidabhasa. So just as this particular object, the light is illuminating, this phone, the light is illuminating this. So this laptop, the light is illuminating. For every thought, there is a different I, there is a different subject. There is a different subject for every thought. And that is the phenomena. That is the phenomena that is taking place. Chit, this is the reflected consciousness. And what is this reflected consciousness? Chidabhasa. Have you ever seen? अभी थोड़ी देर में अगर मैं पर्दा खोलूंगा, if I open the curtains, right now there is sunlight in my room. Even if I put the bulbs off, there will be sunlight in my room. But the moment I open the curtains, there will be certain places specific sunlight. There is general sunlight and there is specific sunlight. And that specific sunlight is brighter than the general sunlight. See? So general sunlight, total consciousness, witnessing consciousness. Specific sunlight, Chidabhas, reflected. Both are reflected, but more bright. What is it reflecting? What is it illuminating? That one particular object. So in that specific light which comes, whatever is on the wall becomes more brighter. General light was there, but I could not see these small spots on the wall. But when that specific light came, it became available. Exactly the same way. Chidabhas is the reflected consciousness, and that reflected consciousness, just like the moon reflected in the water. Does the reflected moon in the water give out light? Yes, it does. In its light you see the waves, isn't it? In its light you are seeing the waves. So there is the actual moon and there is the reflected moon. And when the wave is on the reflected moon, it becomes more available than other waves. That particular wave which is on the top of the reflected moon, it becomes more available. Exactly the same way. There is pure consciousness, there is reflected consciousness. And that reflected consciousness is illuminating the object which the mind has taken shape of. Either it can, so that is the phenomena which is going on. This is the phenomena which is going on. Let it go on, then you are the witness. But if you identify, if this illumination, the light, Chidabhas, which is illuminating that object in the mind, if it gets identified with it, then it becomes the Aham Vritti. It becomes the owner of it. We'll talk more about it in our next class. ज़्यादा हो जाएगा नहीं तो तुम्हारे लिए. This is very, very fine. You have to see what is happening in your mind right now while we are talking about it. After maybe once before we have spoken about it in so much detail. Today we spoke. Next class again we'll repeat it. So slowly some cognizance कि क्या चल रहा है ये मन में, what is going on in the mind, it will start slowly revealing itself. ॐ पूर्णमदा पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ Just as when we take a car to the mechanic, he can undo the car parts, all the parts of the car, he can separate and put them together. We are doing the same. We are taking all the parts, gross, subtle, causal, and putting them together. Then only understanding will take place. Otherwise, what is our position? We have become the parts. That is our problem. Unless we don't, how will you take a position separate from the parts? Only when you understand that it is separate from me, it is nothing to do with me. Then you will take that position. And for that, all this explanation is going on. This is one way of looking at it. Hari Om.